2019 was a great year for film, serving us with superhero films like Avengers Endgame and Joker, to horror films like It Chapter 2. Naturally, with the varied amount of filmography released in the previous year, it must have been next to impossible to watch every single film. I mean, first of all, imagine how much free time you'll need. But in case of a serious fear of missing out, here we bring you a list of top 10 movies you absolutely should not have missed in 2019. Number 1, Dragged Across Concrete. You'll probably need to mentally prepare yourself for this one, since S. Craig Zahler brings you a movie that is definitely not for the faint of heart, or stomach. With its fair share of nauseating violence, the story revolves around two corrupt cops who ends up suspended after their violent behavior and finds themselves in the criminal underworld. Number 2, High Life. High Life received a lot of praise from critics. When it mostly ignored by audiences, the erotic sci-fi horror film, yes, that's 3 different genres that's somehow been marvelously put together, revolves around criminals traveling through space, being subject to experiments from a doctor on board. With an $8 million budget, the film is undoubtedly a masterpiece in the sci-fi genre. Number 3, Booksmart. Olivia Wilde's directorial debut, Booksmart, is a humorous and touching tale of friendship between two young girls. And although that sounds very cliché, it's a perfect blend of coming-of-age comedy well suited for a young female audience, though it's not put any restrictions on the audience. Number 4, The Art of SelfDefense. Indie filmmaker Riley Stearns brings a movie focused on the satire of masculine toxicity, along with the factors which result in men to seek it out. Almost comparable to the tone of Fight Club, the protagonist joins a karate class to learn self-defense, but ends up under the wing of a hyper-masculine coach who has some very specific plans. Number 5, The Perfection. There's always something about psychological horror that makes an impact on the audience, and that's exactly what The Perfection does. A cello prodigy meets a former cellist whose personal tragedy caused her to quit her position at the same school. There's always a sinister feeling the minute personal tragedy comes into play, but the director brings it in several unexpected twists and turns that makes it a wild ride for the first minute itself. Number 6, The Peanut Butter Falcon. The movie revolves around a troubled drifter and his acquaintance with a young man with Down syndrome, and the storyline just makes it a heartfelt movie that makes you feel warm looking at the chemistry between the two protagonists, along with bringing together two people who are literal opposites. The film also accurately portrays those afflicted with Down syndrome without resorting to stereotypes. Number 7, Wild Rose. Revolving around a young woman trying to make it in the harsh music industry. The film introduces several moments of struggle, especially with the protagonist, history as an ex-con, and her self-destructive tendencies, and the struggle of raising 2 children while trying to focus on her passion. The movie is honest about how hard it is to have dreams and achieving them in the current world. It presents an emotional ride for anyone watching. Number 8, Manos. Manos provides an unforgettable cinematic experience, with it being focused on a group of young soldiers and a captive doctor. There's already a tone you can capture with a single line description, but the movie goes a long way in establishing the perfect sense of isolation. Number 9, The Last Black Man in San Francisco. The movie focuses on the lesser discussed issue of gentrification in America, with several black communities suffering from the fancies of better off white people. Narrated from the perspective of a native black man, without any of the stereotypes, mind you, the movie revolves around him trying to reclaim his expensive childhood home. The movie is immensely thought-provoking and entertaining piece of art, traversing through areas of identity, representation, and the wrongs forced by minority communities. Number 10, The Nightingale. The film is an incredibly challenging and disturbing thriller set in 1825 and focused on an Irish convict who set out for revenge on a British soldier who committed horrible acts of violence against her family. With depictions of rape and murder, the film may be uncomfortable to watch for some. However, some will find themselves transfixed by the film as it unfolds. Well, there you have it, our top 10 epic movies you probably missed that you shouldn't. What have we missed, in your opinion? Put it in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button for more awesome content from Animated Times.